morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's Conrad, I'm Jack, and this is the 45 on Thanksgiving. England, I don't think, are allowed to celebrate Thanksgiving.
I don't think they're too happy that we're celebrating Thanksgiving.
Yeah, they're not,
they
they're
had
not
a
happy about
13
it.
colony lead, and they blew it.
Exactly. They're not happy about us celebrating, but we're going to celebrate for them. What are these teams going to be thankful for? And in this holiday season, why should they be happy? Arsenal started them off.
Arsenal, Unai Emery, clearly they'd be happy about. No, it's not
No.
Unai Emery. Granit Xhaka.
No.
No, not Granit Xhaka.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Scored half of their goals this season. 80% of their away goals in the Premier League. He's been carrying them a lot, and they'll be very happy that he's been playing well for them. And he's going to be the reason why they'll sit there, they'll question their manager, they'll question their ex-captain, but they won't question their current captain and their current leading goal scorer. He's been one of the best players in the Premier League so far this season.
Outrageous. And this isn't Unai Emery's fault. This is a lot of things conspiring against him.
A lot of things going against him. But worst case scenario, you have Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang to be happy for in this holiday season. Aston Villa.
Villa, you have Jack's hair. And by Jack's hair, I don't mean
My
that
lovely
Jack's
hair.
hair. I mean Jack Grealish's hair. Wonderful mop for someone who is hair challenged, follicle challenged, such as myself. But really, this is an ownership story for Villa. Plowed 150 million pounds into the club over the offseason, as we talked about. Just dragged this team back up from relegation and out of the financial ruin that they had become.
Yeah, I mean, they had a lot of good talent. They spent a lot, and they trust that Dean Smith to be able to carry them out of where they are. And obviously, you love to have that Jack Grealish hair, but he's proven that he's been pretty good this season, and he's a pretty good leader for a new Premier League
I
club.
think he's the most fouled player in the Premier League.
Replacing Eden Hazard after he left.
Yeah.
It's a very good change there because very similar styles of play. He's also a very good player as well.
Not quite on Hazard's level, but still.
Not yet. He might have the
good.
potential to do that.
He's been up and coming for a long, long time, it feels like. And I think he's on the verge of arriving.
Exactly.
Bournemouth.
Easy
they
one here.
are happy for Eddie Howe, one of the most
Easy one here.
rumored managers to take other jobs. The England job he was rumored for a long time.
Arsenal, United. I mean, everyone pretty much wants to sign Eddie Howe because he's proven that he's very good at what he does. He's able to develop players. He's able to recruit very effectively without spending a ton of money. And so if you go into maybe a Manchester United job, you give him 150 million pounds to spend. What can you do with that? But Bournemouth will be incredibly happy that he's theirs and that they are able to utilize his talents.
Him as long as possible.
And he's been doing really well for them. He's been keeping them in that mid-table area. That's probably their goal every year. And who knows how far they can go under him.
Every year you think they might have a shot at getting relegated, but he just keeps them playing, and he gets the points when he needs to get them.
Exactly.
Moving on to Brighton and Hove Albion, we've got the defense attorneys of Duncan Duffy Limited.
Yeah, I mean, both fantastic at the back. Both are rocks back there, and it's one of the best foundations to have. If your center back pairing is solid, start from the back, it's much easier to do everything else. You're seeing what Liverpool did with Van Dijk.
He's got them 5 points off the top four, I think, right now.
Exactly, yeah. And Brighton are in the mix of things right now. And you say you get a couple good wins, a bit of a good run, and you're sitting very pretty heading into nearing the Christmas season, which is something that English fans can actually celebrate.
Yes, they can do that. Burnley, they are very happy for Chris Wood, their top goal scorer.
Very good
Again,
player.
a reason that that team is chugging, along with Ashley Barnes. But you saw what happened when Chris Wood was out hurt. They stalled. They couldn't get the ball in the net. Guy makes things happen.
Exactly, yeah. And we could have said Sean Dyche here as well. We could have said Ashley Barnes here as well. It just shows you a lot of things to be happy for if you're a Burnley fan right now. We wanted to maybe give some more love for the players. And Chris Wood is a phenomenal player to give some love for because he's been able to score a lot of goals. He's been very effective for them up top in a Burnley system, which doesn't allow a ton of chances for their forwards because they're more defensively focused. But they still manage to do very well, and a big part of that is because of the Aussie up top, Chris Wood.
Yep. Chelsea. Currently in the top four. You could say Frank Lampard here. He's got that team overperforming. But honestly, I think the transfer ban, we've talked about this, has helped them tremendously because it's allowed them to put all those players they've had on loan for a long time, plus the Pulisic acquisition, all these young players able to come up and play alongside the veterans like the Willians and their midfielders. And they're just outrageous.
They're very, very young, and they're very, very good. Because we've talked about this as well. You'd rather lose 3-0 with a bunch of young players on the field learning their way around than have a bunch of veterans who should be performing better. And so if you're in a period of transition and if you're going to struggle a bit, it's good to have youth players.
See what you got.
But they're not even struggling right now. They're in fourth place, and they're on 26 points. And they are beyond ecstatic to be at this position. And a lot of it comes down to the fact that they were forced to focus on the youth and forced to give Frank Lampard a lot of time. Because he's going to have all of this season, and once they finally begin to spend money, he's going to still have that amount of time. So Chelsea, out of all the Big Six clubs, I would say they you could argue they feel the best about where they are right now. They're not like Liverpool leading the league, but they're also very thankful for the fact that they had to spend no money and they were able to
see what they
have in the club. Very big thing for them.
Crystal Palace, we've talked a little bit about them and the luck they've had. They've won more points off of VAR than anybody else in the league. So thank God VAR.
Exactly. For Palace. There were
right.
several results where it was misused in their favor, and if you're Palace, you're not going to complain about that, obviously. You're going to be thankful that there was one or two mistakes, but it's also been utilized in a sense that, yes, this was the correct decision, and it should have gone this way. And at the end of the day, if it's the right decision, it's the right decision. And Palace won't be complaining about that. They'll be thanking the VAR guys.
The results have been a little bit up and down. I think they did a little bit more consistent, but not bad overall. And VAR is their friend.
Exactly.
Everton, we struggled a little bit here. Everton has been a really upside-down season. Every year you think they're going to do well. They do good transfer business, but they just can't seem to get where they're going. But they do have Bramley Moore Dock Stadium to look forward to in a few years down the road.
If that's how it actually looks,
it's going to be killer.
It's going to be absolutely outstanding. And, I mean, obviously they still have the talent. You mentioned the spending that they've done. Moise Kean, I think, is going to come good eventually. Richarlison, I like him a lot. I think he's a really talented player.
Pickford.
They got some really good, talented foundational pieces. But it's just a question of can they begin to be translated.
Is Marco Silva the right guy? That's what everybody. This is now the third manager that they've asked the same question. Is he the right guy? Since Koeman started spending all the money a few years back, they've gone through. Now this is their third different manager, I think, maybe fourth.
Sounds right. There's rumors that David Moyes might come back. I think that can make some sense.
I do. He was a very good with that club with the budget that they had. Again, player development. He was obviously a flop in the other two spots that he stopped. Seville and
Manchester
United. But he's a player development guy.
He'll be more comfortable where he's familiar with, and that's maybe not at the same stadium, which is something they'll be looking forward to, but maybe it's going to be at a similar location in terms of the players, the personnel, and just the overall club atmosphere for Everton.
Leicester City. Again, you could say Brendan Rodgers here, but it's Jamie Vardy. He's back to the goal-scoring form when they were high-flying and winning the league a couple of years ago. He's just been absolutely fantastic, and they figured out how to use him.
And you think about that title-winning side a couple of years ago. They had several players who were high performers, Danny Drinkwater, N'Golo Kante, Riyad Mahrez, who are now gone at other clubs, and some of them performing well, some of them, Danny Drinkwater, not performing as well.
Not playing all that much.
But you look at Jamie Vardy, he stayed there the entire time. He's been a consistent goal scorer.
And his story is crazy to begin with.
Exactly. He was just a pub side. And now he's a Premier League striker who's one of the leading goal scorers, if not the leading goal scorer, possibly at the end of this campaign. Very thankful for him and the loyalty that he's shown for your club. Because they showed him some loyalty, he's returning the favor, and he's got them at a great position right now, second place in the league. I don't think many people would have expected that at this point.
I had them top 6, but not top 2.
You do not have them top 2 right now.
No.
Nobody expected that.
Liverpool, we talked a little bit about ownership when we talked about Villa, and this is a similar story. They're thankful for Michael Edwards, who runs their football operation, and together has a great partnership with Jurgen Klopp in figuring out what talent to bring in, who's going to fit the system that Klopp wants to run, and who's a good culture fit.
Exactly. And you look at the way they've spent their money as well. It's been incredibly, incredibly effective. They spent about £100 million on their front three of Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino, and Mohamed Salah.
Brilliant business.
And if they were to sell any one of those three, I believe all three of them could go for £100 million individually in today's market, and with how good they've been playing. So, and
never mind what he did with Coutinho.
Fabinho, I think you robbed Barcelona with Coutinho money. You used that to buy Van Dijk and Alisson. They've done a phenomenal job with recruiting, phenomenal job with sales, and it comes back to the man in charge, Michael Edwards. There's a lot of players you can be thankful for. But as rumors for the future begin to as well crop up for Jadon Sancho, Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, Ziyech, and Ajax are all being floated as possibilities. Those are all smart business moves, and it's a question of can that man get it done effectively.
Because those are all going to be much bigger dollar moves. They haven't had to make – I mean, look, at the time, Van Dijk was the most expensive defensive player in the history of modern football.
But if Southampton could renegotiate that deal, knowing what happened now, they'd ask for double.
Yes.
And there's no question that Liverpool would probably pay that as well, because how good he's been for them. And Michael Edwards, however, was smart enough to get it at that point. The team we're talking about next decided not to take that risk.
Manchester City, what they're happy for is the guy who can play anywhere, Fernandinho. He was key to them last year.
You could stick him
and
up
the
top,
year before,
and he could be okay.
I think so. I mean, he is playing in a center back pairing now with all the injuries that City have had in the back line.
He was playing with Rodri at one point where they weren't even starting a natural-born center back.
They were playing like a 1-6-2.
2 fullbacks, 6 midfielders, 7 midfielders, and then a forward or 2. And it's just remarkable the flexibility and versatility that he has. He's an experienced player. He's a talented player. And you're very thankful that you have that guy who you can always trust on at the back to bail you out and to be able to be a good leader for your side. Fernandinho is as reliable player in the Premier League that exists.
And not young. He's 34 years old, 35 years old, and he's still getting it done, playing 90 minutes week in, week out. Manchester United, the neighbors across the way. It's been an up-and-down season. They lost today in Europa League play.
Not thankful for that.
No, but they are thankful for their youth. Not necessarily this youth. This is this guy in his England kit, circa age 5, maybe.
We'll just pretend like that's Wayne Rooney or something at his young age over there in England. No, I mean, obviously the youth are being very happy for. Maybe it's not as good as maybe a Chelsea side, but at the same time, I believe they should trust Ole for the long term. I believe the loss today against Astana was not really his fault because they've already sealed the group. They're already ready to move on, and you didn't want to risk any players getting injured. And so if you're able to give players, and especially young players, you mentioned it already earlier on just in today's show, that if you're going to lose a match, lose with young players. They lost with several academy players in their squad, and that's a thing that you can be proud of. Not the loss part, but the fact that you're able to give opportunities to academy players in Europe. That's a big deal for Manchester United. And I think that it's not been the best season so far for them. It still can turn around, and at least the long-term vision for them is slightly positive because of the amount of youth that they have.
And see what they do in that winter window. Maybe nothing, maybe 1 or 2 pickups to help solidify them. Newcastle United, again, these guys are...
We struggled to pick
got out of their own way. What we settled on is Mike Ashley won't own the team forever. In theory.
Yeah. Maybe he's a vampire and he has been sent
maybe
down.
That's your problem.
Maybe he's been sent down to curse Newcastle Football Club for the rest of eternity. But the likelihood is that's not going to be the case. The likelihood is that although there have been some issues under his leadership, it may end at some point. And there's been a lot of rumors, and there's been rumors of a Mexican group trying to bring together a bid for Mike Ashley to purchase the club from Newcastle. And, well, will that actually happen, or is it just going to be rumors like it has been for several years?
No, I mean, I don't know that there's been any club that's had more rumors around the sale than this club.
No, I don't think any club, arguably in Europe, has had as much question over the future of their leadership and their ownership as Newcastle have had. They've got some good talent on the field, and I believe that they're beginning to turn things around on the pitch, especially after losing Rafa Benitez. But I think that it's going to be possibly going to need to change leadership at the end of the day.
Norwich. The lone highlight for them is beating Man City. It's been a rough go. We've talked about it. They've been hammered with injuries throughout the season. Just not much to be thankful for just yet.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that that's the only thing to be thankful for at this point. But at the same time, that they've had a lot of injuries. You're not going to be thankful for those injuries. You're going to be thankful that they're going to be ending soon. And possibly you're going to be able to see Daniel Farke be able to turn the side around to where they wanted it to be. They wanted to trust their system that they had back last year in the championship. It's a question of, is that going to be able to translate again this year? I'm thankful that you have those highlights of that 3-2 win over Manchester City.
Spurs. They have a couple things to be thankful for and one thing to be really thankful for. Yeah. The stadium is done. I think that was a distraction, kept them from spending a little bit of money. It was a major financial outlay for the side. It's done. And now they've got Jose Mourinho at the wheel, and it's not his third season because he does seem to turn bitter. But he's happy right now.
I think that's a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy in terms of you expect it to fail in the third season, so it might actually fail in the third season. I don't think that it's necessarily going to have to happen here at Tottenham, but what they'll be thankful for is that you're beginning to get better performances from your players. Christian Eriksen had one of the best performances of his season in one of the very first few games under Mourinho's reign. If you can turn him around, maybe get a bit more transfer value for him, I believe that there's a strong possibility that Gareth Bale returns to Tottenham.
It'll be a lot of money.
It'll be a lot of money, but I think that Mourinho's always wanted him. Maybe they're thankful for the hope that they have. Because if you asked a Tottenham fan a couple weeks ago, how much hope do you have, they would say,
the team stopped playing for Pochettino.
I don't have much.
It was embarrassing. Did you see how much heart they put in when Jose stepped in?
Exactly. And it's frustrating for Pochettino. He's been such a great servant for that club. And for him to go that way, being fired, is not how you want it to end.
No.
but it was the right move for him to step aside at that time, even if it was a forced stepping aside. And I think that Mourinho's the right guy to push this side to get some trophies, because you don't need another guy to build your club long term. You need someone to capitalize on the talent you have right now, and that's Jose Mourinho, and it's his first season.
It's a great fit. I think it's a great fit.
Speaking of managers, Sheffield United.
Sheffield United. Chris Wilder is just a fantastic story. Lifelong resident of Sheffield, ball boy in his youth, started his league career for United before they played. He played for another 10 teams across a 15 years career in English football, and he did return to play for Sheffield United later in his career. Stepped up in 2016. Back-to-back promotions. Just, he bleeds Sheffield United. And you just hope that he can keep this run going and stay there for many, many years. Because it's such a great story.
Exactly. The thing is with managers is a lot of the job is having enough support from the fans to be able to continue doing your job at a high level. Unai Emery is out the door practically. He has one foot out the door right now. And that's largely because the fans are not happy with him. Ole's got a lot of fire under him right now. Pochettino had a lot of fire under him, and he ended up leaving. Wilder is going to take a cataclysmic fallout from their team in order for anything to happen in regards to him having a question for his job. And that just makes it so much easier and so much more enjoyable to function in a high role. And you mentioned it. He's been Sheffield United through and through.
He bleeds it.
And he's going to continue doing that. He's performing well right now. I see no reason why that's going to stop. They're very thankful for Chris Wilder.
I realized we put Tottenham Hotspur out of order. We don't know as somebody who put the deck together doesn't know their ABC.
We'll blame someone else.
Southampton.
We'll blame the editors that live somewhere.
ABC.
Okay.
Southampton. Southampton, player development. Look, these guys have done an amazing job identifying talent either through their academy system or bringing them in, like your Van Dijks, Sadio Mane's. I mean, their talent pipeline has been absolutely unbelievable. I don't know if Ralph Hasenhutl's got enough right now to be able to stay up or do well enough, but that's an incredible player development system.
And you'll be thankful for that, obviously. That's the whole point of this. Maybe that you don't have a lot of things going right for your club, but you believe that you have enough talent, enough ability to identify talent to turn things around. Because last year they were in a similar spot. They were favorites for relegation. They were able to capitalize on their talent and turn things around. They're currently second to bottom in the league right now. It's tough to see if they have enough talent right now, but if you believe in anyone to make some changes and have some good recruiting, I think it's got to be Southampton. One of the best teams in the league at doing just that.
The W's, oddly enough, ironically enough, Watford, but they got their W. They just are looking for any hope this season. 5 draws with their only 5 points up until the final the week before, and they got their first W. But thankful to get that win.
Thankful to get that win, exactly. And you now can add your full name. You are Watford now.
No longer Watford.
And that's a big deal because you have that first win of the season, and it just gets better from there, honestly. And it's big for them. It has them. They're still bottom of the league right now, but you needed those 3 points. You needed to get them at some point, and now that that's out of the way, you
need a little bit of confidence.
A little bit of confidence. Try and push things forward again.
West Ham United.
This was tough to pick out what we thought was thankful for them.
They had a great beginning of the season. They were high flying, and then they hit the skids. Pellegrini, I don't know what happened, but overall they've got a lot of talent in that team, and Pellegrini is a good manager, and I think he'll be able to get them back middle half, top half.
Yeah, the thing that I see with West Ham is they have so much talent. I think they're top 8 in the Premier League in terms of the talent that they have. Even I wouldn't say top 6 necessarily, but they have so much talent in that squad. And Pellegrini, the big criticism of him is that he's not developing this talent. They're not all stagnating as players. You can't look at a singular player and say, yeah, he's developed under his reign necessarily. And that's a big flaw to have. And I think that eventually that he can turn it around. He's got a great pedigree as a manager. But that is the thing you're going to be thankful for and that you're going to rely on is that you have that great overall talent.
That they will figure it out.
Exactly.
And last but not least, Wolves. We love Nuno, and Nuno loves his country of Portugal.
The entire country of Portugal.
That's what Wolves and their supporter base are thankful for Portugal.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that side, they've got 7 or 8 players. I think we had, early on in the season, we talked about how many players they had, either in the top side or the U23s, the U19s, the U21s.
Yeah.
It's just up and down, absolutely crazy.
Yeah. they have a lot of reliance on Portugal, but they're showcasing that there's a lot of talent from there. And Nuno is doing a great job with his
shrewd business.
Ruben Neves, when he was brought over initially when they were in the championship, was regarded as a massive
steal.
Signing, as a steal of a signing. And he's continuing to improve. And whether or not he's going to be poached by a bigger side remains to be seen. And Nuno, as a manager himself, Arsenal fans want him as their manager. Will they be able to hang on to him and remain with that Portugal, I guess, core of their squad? It's going to be a big thing for them. But right now they're thankful for it.
It's interesting if he does end up in Arsenal, so long with Wenger at the helm, had so many French players coming through the system, right? That was kind of their deal. That's what rose to prominence with them.
Cristiano Ronaldo to Arsenal? Might be a little bit of a stretch.
I don't know if Nuno is the same manager as he's so identified with that Wolves side. I don't know how he would fare at a club like Arsenal.
And they're very thankful to have him right now because he's doing really well for them, and they have him, obviously.
Yeah.
A lot of things to be thankful for Premier League teams, but I think it was good. It's been a good holiday season, and it's a huge holidays for every Premier League team because it's until March, I think, that they have their next big break in action. So it's a lot of fun to watch the Premier League now.
That'll do it for us. For Jack, Conrad, this has been the Footy 5. Please find us on the Twitter at the Footy 5. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Take care now.